Hi, I'm Janelle Collard. I'm here with Sharon K. Richards today. She is one of the team that brings the messages from WeSeekToServe.com and ThoughtsFromAmaster.com websites. And today Sharon has agreed to let the Lady Nada speak through her. So hi Sharon, welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I have to say I'm very excited to hear from Lady Nada because we haven't heard from her before. I know she's on the website, but it'll be nice to have some feminine energy coming through.
Yes, it will. There was a request that we hear from more of the ladies who are up there working, so Lady Nada agreed.
I'm all for that. Excellent. Well, if you're ready, then we can get started.
Okay. All right, Janelle, this is Lady Nada, and I am here.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to meet you. Well, you know, we were talking about having the request to bring more ladies on, and I think that's really appropriate. And, you know, we've been hearing a lot about balancing the female and the masculine energies. And so my question to you is, with that in mind, is it my imagination, or are we seeing a lot more masculine energies with the off-Earth allies and the masters? It seems like the ratio of masculine to female is really unbalanced.
Oh. Now that is an interesting question, because you are speaking of two different things. You are speaking of the energies, which are balanced.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The energies are balanced. And the identity, because the language forces you into a dualism of his or her,
right,
male or female. This is the way it is forced. But the energies are balanced. And as has been said before, every single soul that leaves the source, the divine source, and begins its long journey into incarnation experiences, has inherent within it both the divine masculine and the divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
This is simply the potential. And by the time the soul completes its journey of gathering experiences and returning to the source, it has balanced the masculine and the feminine. So the energies of those who are called and appear as he and his and present themselves as male,
mm-hmm,
they are actually fully and completely balanced in masculine and feminine energies at the divine level. I will say divine masculine and divine feminine. The balance is there.
But why are they presenting as male figures? Why is there so many more male figures coming through as masters and off-Earth allies as female figures?
All right. I am glad you asked that question. All right. You have to understand the continuity of the soul and the importance of this journey into incarnation and return to the divine source. Now, you have oft heard of humanity's free will. And of free will, humanity has spent too many thousands of years in an aberration of the divine masculine energy, an aberration that expresses itself in power and often cruelty. Certainly disregard for the divine feminine. This has been going on. But you see, those who are advancing and reaching the point of spiritual maturity in a culture where the masculine is the predominant doer of cultural change, whether they declare war, which changes culture,
right,
or something else. So as those souls progress and reach their point of maturity in that culture, they keep the identity of their last incarnation for the most part.
Okay.
So their final incarnation, those where they are they're the teachers that are listened to. They are the political leaders who make change. As this happens, because humanity's culture has been dominated by the men.
The patriarchy.
The patriarchy. Excellent word, I should have thought of that. These beings lived their last lives as men and carried that last life identity into the community of spiritual masters.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was wondering, does the if the masters were reflecting humanity, or the humanity is reflecting who the masters are? But you're saying humanity is reflecting the masters, and that's why.
No, I'm saying that the masters are reflecting what humanity was.
Yes.
At the time they joined the community of spiritual masters.
Okay. So would it be safe to say then we're going to start seeing more feminine energy starting to come through?
I would say definitely, because that is one of the necessities. I'm not even going to say it's a hope. It is a necessity of the new civilization that it is up to humanity to create and design and build.
Right.
That the divine feminine and the divine masculine be equally honored and work in collaboration to move humanity's spiritual maturity forward. And as that happens, you will see a lot more in the community of spiritual masters whose final lives were lived as women. But it is still the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine that must be there. And you can look around at some of your most impressive leaders, those who have demonstrated a love and compassion for humanity, and you would be hard-pressed to say that there is not some divine feminine energy being expressed in these male beings.
Yes, you're right. I would agree with that.
All right.
Well, in the higher societies, we hear that that the society is androgynous. Is that something that we're headed towards? Probably
not.
Okay.
Not in the foreseeable future.
Well, good, because I like being a lady. And I love the Lady Nada. With your, it's my understanding that you are working with humanity as far as transformation. And we hear that word a lot, transformation. But what are we transforming to? Where are we headed?
All right. That's a good question. We are headed to a civilization that will reflect and create an environment where all these souls, as I repeat, on their journey of incarnation, experience and returning to the source, the environment will be such that it is conducive to the balancing of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, that it is conducive to group work, that the ills that are perpetuated now in the current civilization will be eliminated, and the environment will be nurturing for humanity's spiritual maturation rather than nurturing for the accumulation of goods and money and power. In the short picture, that is what is being created. A civilization that has as a primary objective the installation, I don't know if that's the right word, that it instills the concept of oneness into all the members of this civilization. That every single member understands the energetic connections that connect, connections that connect, isn't that correct? All right. That there is a connection to what happens halfway around the globe. The energy is there. Oneness cannot be destroyed. It is simply there. It can be recognized. It can be worked with. It can be experienced. It can be lived, but it cannot be destroyed. And in the new civilization, oneness will be the basis of moving forward. And what is good and encouraging for the oneness is what will survive and be used and brought forward. So what are we transforming to? We are transforming to civilizations where oneness is the base and is known and understood as much as the common science is today about the sun and the planets going around the sun. These spiritual concepts and the spiritual concept of oneness will be that commonly known and worked for.
Well, and not to beat a dead horse here, but
you're going to try.
I'm going to try. I've got the whip out. What does oneness look like? I mean, what does that mean, oneness? Everybody's blissful and happy, and, you know, I'm having a hard time conceptualizing what it looks like. An example of, if everybody's one,
doesn't look.
What does that mean?
It doesn't look, well, all right, I'm taking you too literally. It feels.
Okay.
There is a heart connect. And when one of your neighbors is in need, all right, that this is known, and the group will come and assist. It's knowing that every decision you make about your relationships, if you decide that you now are going to cut this person off your gift list because they did something you don't like, they said something nasty about you, and you're going to cut them off, that destroys the oneness. And in the new civilization, it's going to be more like, all right, my first cousin really snubbed me at that party. And we were supposed to be good friends. Rather than taking them off the gift list, you are going to understand that the relationship between you and your first cousin is part of the oneness. And there will be a seeking to repair and restore that relationship, rather than cutting them off the gift list. It is relationships then that change. Now, one of the primary one is the relationship with Mother Earth. There will not be ownership of what is under Mother Earth or above Mother Earth simply because you draw an arbitrary line on a piece of paper that you call a map. The resources of Mother Earth belong to everyone. This will be acknowledged as part of oneness, because you see, not only are you one with each other, and you must maintain those relationships because you are one, rather than destroying them, that harms the one. The same is true of Mother Earth. If you injure Mother Earth and you are not a proper steward to Mother Earth, then you are injuring the oneness that connects you to Mother Earth. Does that help?
It does. You know, what I'm wondering is, you know, in this new civilization, are we going to work? Are we still going to restaurants and art museums? And, you know, what
you get to design it.
It's
you
whatever
see,
we want
that's
it to
it. We are talking about relationships.
Your passion.
We are talking about spiritual maturation. We are talking about oneness. how humanity chooses to express those concepts. If you want restaurants and art museums, then you will have restaurants and art museums.
Okay. So it's just following your passions and people being able to live their passions?
I suppose that depends upon what your passion is, and whether or not that passion is supportive
Right,
of the oneness.
Okay.
Am I beating a dead horse now?
No, I think so. I'm trying to conceptualize what this new civilization looks like. We keep hearing, the old civilizations are going to break down completely, and then we're going to build new civilizations. And in my mind, I'm like, what does that mean? What does it look like? What are we doing in this new civilization?
Well, I think you could take a look at what is going on in the current civilization that does not support the oneness of humanity.
Okay.
And what it does not support the oneness of humanity, that emphasizes the individual rather than the group.
Right.
Those are the things that will be going away. So what do you have left? And what are you going to create to fill the void of what's going away?
Okay.
Now, this is not easy. We know that this is not easy. This is an extreme challenge for humanity that has lived for how many thousands of years with the concept of I, the one, I, the individual. I. And we are changing to we, and understanding the importance of a group and working with groups. This is not easy. This is not easy at all, and we know that. And that's why we have so many of us coming forward now, that the energies are conducive to us coming forward, so that we can assist and guide. And that is where our off-earth allies are so important. Their civilizations have been through this phase, and they can help with love and compassion, and seeing what has to be done, and working with those human beings who can also see what has to be done to design this new civilization, and present a vision of, this is humanity's vision of what needs to be done. And then you will have your vision, and you will know what it looks like.
And are these off-earth allies and the masters as well? Is this a mapping out? First we need to get to here, then we get to here. I mean, because we hear a lot about we're going to help, we have all these, we're going to support, but what does that look like? What does support look like?
Well, there are two questions there. One, this plan. This plan, we know where humanity is, we who are on the planning side, as it were.
Right.
Okay. And we know what the objective is, as I have tried to outline for you.
Yes.
All right. And there are what we would call milestones along the way, significant points. When we see this happening among humanity, when humanity, for instance, when we see happening that humanity as a whole in all of its institutions is starting to say we cannot continue to treat women and children the way we are treating them, that's a milestone. All right? We can say these are the milestones that we see along the way. But it is humanity who moves from one milestone to another. All right? We work with groups. We work with people. We try and get our message out. How many human beings actually know that there are off-earth allies here? How much is there on the internet? How many books have been written? How many speakers have there been? People know. They do know. And we will work through all these media. Things like this video, as much as it takes to help get the message out, and work with those who are willing to help us get the message out. That's what we will do. We will work with the groups So supposing there is a group of healers. Let us take healing, one of my favorites. There is a group who's working on healing. Now, I will emphasize group, because there are many, many healers. Many healers, energy healers. How many of them are working in a group? That they create a group identity with a group healing mission. Each individual in this group contributing their own unique skills, but offering group healings. How many of those are there? This is where we will work, and we will work switching from working with individuals to working with that group of healers.
Wonderful. Something else that I know that you work closely with is in regards to helping humanity heal the wounds of spiritual misdirection, which we've had such a go of that here on our planet. Our wars in the name of God, or whoever's God it is. And so that is part of your work, is healing the spiritual misdirection?
Yes.
And how do you go about that? It's such a betrayal of trust.
The work begins at the pre-life planning stage for the soul. What is it that this soul would hope and plan to achieve in this incarnation? And the healing takes place in the incarnation. Now that can be working as a guide. We still have guides. I would work with the specific guides for an individual, because this is a pre-life contract. Or work with a group that I know can assist this individual and say to their guides, see what you can do to get this individual to connect with this particular group, and the help will be there. But as always, those decisions must be made by the incarnated soul. And some incarnated souls are so damaged that it takes several lifetimes before they are willing and able to take advantage of the help that is offered. And sometimes it simply blooms from within when they realize they're saying, no, no more. I have to change things. Sometimes that can happen inside as well, and that we encourage.
I think we have a lot of work to do on that, in that area, so you have your work cut out for you. Another question for you is, there's a lot of masters coming forward now, and we have a lot of off-earth allies coming forward now. Why so much now, like this urgency happening, and where were you for the last 2,000 years? While we were messing up this planet so badly.
Watching in sorrow is where we were.
That couldn't have been fun.
All right. Some of us were still incarnating then, and we were helping to mess it up.
Okay.
Or helping to try and straighten it out. There are two things that you have to understand. That sounds like an order. Let me try again.
Okay.
There are two things that I think will help. One is the planet Earth lives in energy fields, if you would, that are coming. You have a perfect example in just astronomy. Your science will tell you that the Earth is moving into a different alignment with different constellations. All right. That means different energies are coming to Earth. There are always energies streaming in and coming to the planet Earth. Those energies were not conducive for us to come forth. It takes a great deal of energy, once you have left the incarnation cycle, to come into and show up on the physical plane unless you are born normally through a human birth. As the vibrations, okay, the second thing is the energies weren't right. But now that Mother Earth herself is going through an energy, a vibration raising process, that brings Mother Earth's energy closer to where we have existed, so that it takes less of our energy to appear in physical form.
Okay.
So the two reasons are, one, it's easier. The third, well, another important reason is humanity has made consciousness expansion progress.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And the third thing is that now that we have that closer gap and come forward, we have an energy change of the energies coming to Earth. So it is all these things combined that make now the time when not only is this necessary, but it is most definitely more possible than it was before.
Okay, well, just in the nick of time, I would say, too, if we could use the help. Well, Lady Nada, it's been such a pleasure to have you here. And before we say goodbye, is there any message you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yes, we know, we are painfully aware of what this plan calls for humanity to do. And the changes in the psychological changes, the spiritual changes, and the physical changes that are all coming at once. We know this is not easy. That is one of the reasons we are glad that we can come forward to try and assist and get these messages out to help you understand what is happening and do away with fear about what's happening. We know that this is not easy. And the changes that must be made start in your everyday life. Please do not forget that. Repairing one relationship, a sustainable repair of one interpersonal relationship, helps heal all of humanity. A sustainable improvement of your relationship with Mother Earth, your personal relationship, be that recycling, lowering your carbon footprint, etc., and all these things that are out there. One sustainable change helps improve all of humanity. You do not have to go out and look for the big changes. These little changes add up and are so very important. And you can make these changes in your daily life if you are willing. And those are not easy. It will not be easy to turn to this cousin that you wanted to wipe off your gift list and say, okay, how can I go about repairing that relationship? That's what I'd like people to know and start doing, is looking for those little repairs that are perfectly, well, they aren't easy, but yet they are under your control.
They're doable, yes. Well, that's wonderful information that you can use today. That's a good takeaway here. Thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate it. And you can always hear more from Lady Nada if you go to the weseektoserve.com website. And so thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
We have the Sharon, Miss Sharon back?
Yes, this is Sharon back.
So how is it with you? How do you feel about the difference between the feminine and the masculine coming through? Does it feel a lot different for you?
Not really. Each being coming through has their own signature.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing I notice is that when the feminine energies come through, those that are identified as being feminine, I feel like my voice is higher than
much
when
softer, yeah, because everybody does have a different sound and energy.
So that's the one thing I notice. But as for another significant difference, no, there is always such such a beautiful,
gentleness.
you know, with all of them.
Yeah.
They're such a caring. They really care. They really care.
Well, I hope to hear more from the ladies, and so in the near future. I know we have Kima Yanaka is on your panel, or she is one of the Off-Earth allies, and you have Mother Mary. Is there anyone else?
Kuan Yin.
Kuan Yin, of course. Can't forget her. Well, thank you so much, Sharon. And again, as I've said before, you can check out the WeSeekToServe.com and thoughtsfromamaster.com, and Sharon will keep you posted as we go. Thank you so much for being here.